All right, welcome back, everyone. So today we're doing a little shorter episode, but we're just talking about a study that came out recently, just about how bird watching could help slow aging, a breakthrough study found. And we've all been, I shouldn't say we've all been, John, Shannon, and Amanda have been scrambling to find the paper because they work more in that world, and I don't have access to anything like that. But it sounds like you guys are having trouble finding access to the original paper too.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I just want to I want to point out that the original thing that caught people's attention was a BBC News summary of it, and the title of that BBC News summary was "Birdwatching could help slow aging, breakthrough study finds," which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
When you go and click on the paper is entitled "Tuned Cortex: Convergent Expertise Related Structural and Functional Remodeling Across the Adult Lifespan."
The
Wow.
BBC title is much better.
Yeah, just like I'm surprised the BBC actually found it.
I am too. Like, good on the BBC. Yeah, seriously.
But
So it's published in the Journal of Neuroscience, and it's not part of the University of Chicago systems. I can't find it anywhere else. I have used, there's something called ResearchGate where, I don't know, it's kind of like a social media site for scientists where you put your papers and people can find who you are and find your research and stuff like that. So I emailed the authors, and I should have said I was Canadian because
It's a Canadian study, right?
science. Yeah, it is. So
Oh.
anyway, I couldn't find it either. So we can talk about it, but none of us have actually read the primary literature, which is what has to happen too. So we can talk about this all we want from this little BBC summary, which is really interesting and cool. The summary is really
well,
great.
and we have
But
access to an
we need to
abstract of the paper.
Yeah, but we need to see the actual. This is for all of, especially for
I'm buying
kids
it.
who are listening. This is not how you do thorough scientific evaluations of things through this. You have to look at the methodology. There's a lot of things you have to do.
I'm
I'm
so
gonna-
embarrassed.
I'm
I
gonna-
feel like the odd person out between the four of us because I'm not used to reading research papers and I just
So-
skim headlines.
So,
This is
so
what
I'm,
you guys do all day?
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys are
But I just want to point out that I think in this case we can feel good about the fact that what they found was looking at a bunch of expert birders of different ages, they performed better in a lot of aspects that the authors are attributing to the fact that they keep their minds tuned basically by going bird watching.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's the implications are tremendous if you're somebody like me who spends way too much time thinking about birds.
Yeah, I put a
I was
Facebook post out that says that John and his brother should be infants then. Because if it's aging them
Oh.
in reverse, they're like babies.
Yeah.
Well, what I didn't get, so I read the article that came out, and it talked about they compared the brain structures of 29 expert birders with 29 beginner birders. I kind of consider myself a beginner, so am I not getting the benefits of it yet? Why wasn't it 29 non-birders? I'm
Good
like, when do
point.
you get to be expert level?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
now
really
there we go. We need the paper because we got to figure out
I
that
know.
transition.
See,
Yeah.
exactly. We need to know the actual methodology, the statistics that were used, the kind of analyses. So all of you people, this is what has to happen. And yes, this is what John and I do all day, every day. And yeah, we're weird. But this paper, I was drawn by the headline, which is clever and creative. But headlines don't always get you the actual real thing underneath.
Right.
And this is why you have to look at the actual published literature and not just someone's summary of it. And
You're
that
right.
these summaries are good, right? They point us to the actual literature. Well, they pointed us to an actual literature that we can't get access to unless we pay $50. And I'd rather buy $50 worth of tea. No offense, but I'm not.
So
I
the
don't
one
make
thing
enough money to pay $50 for every article I have to find.
I guess the implication of I don't know. I'm just looking at some of the things I pulled out from the abstract, and which is a summary of the paper. And they say one of the final things they say is, here we provide a multimodal view of cortical reorganization in a domain for which high-level perception, attention, and memory are shaped through extensive practice, bird identification expertise. And I'm just thinking, well, what if those people happen to know a lot about music?
Right. I
So
think
there's
it's different parts of the brain, right?
I guess.
And they're studying bird watching people. So maybe music
true.
people do the same thing. We just don't know. This paper didn't address that. But what it does show is that whatever it is that you do that keeps your brain learning new things, actively learning new things, it's almost like fuel for your brain to keep using pieces of it. So I think that, it relies on that memory part, the observations connecting to memory and other things you've read and experienced, I think is, it connects to a lot of different parts of your brain, kind of almost the way hearing does, right? So if you don't stimulate your brain, there's parts of it that are just not going to work the same way from hearing perspective. Maybe you develop other things. I don't know, because they don't treat hearing loss like an actual science and do actual research on it like this. So for me, they should have, before, when I lost my hearing, well, there should be some kind of functional imaging of brains kind of in general to understand in a systematic way. And then when you lose hearing, they should do this again, and then they should do it repeatedly over time so that we can understand what is exactly happening. Because the same thing happens with hearing loss, where hearing aids are shown to have an important ameliorating effect on dementia, which is a really serious cause for concern of people who have hearing loss. But how does that happen? We don't know. So we need to know. But you can't know if you don't get data. So I want to know when they stick this thing, this is one of my processors, I want to know what's happening to my brain before I put this thing on, and I want to know what's happening when I put it on, and I want to know what's happening in a year from now, and I want to know how my brain works differently than it did before hearing or than it did with other people who do not have hearing loss. But so good for them for doing a study like this, right? We'll have a bit of data for once. Great.
I guess, but I also can imagine that some people would say that bird expertise is associated with dementia. In other words,
Tell us more, John.
I've been accused of
that if you
thinking a
spend
little.
that much time doing it, you're demented. Is that the thing?
Exactly. No, I'm just saying. It's we criticize people for playing too many computer games and things. I mean, it's
well, and it's really interesting to me too to couple that with what being outside when you're doing that means. Like the importance of so many senses that are involved, not just sight, but there's sound and there's smells and there's just breathing of different kinds of air, of feeling your feet on the ground, and even walking through an outdoor place gives you different sensations having to do with balance.
And sometimes you have to re-find your keys that you dropped in the grass someplace.
Yeah, and that's why Apple's AirTags are so important, John.
Yep.
Right? Yes, John.
I guess maybe I should. Maybe I'm just thinking.
House.
I
And then you have to go knock on her door, and she thinks you're crazy.
I might have
She's gonna
affected
call the
their
police.
study, I guess. Had I been a part of that.
I do want to say, just
Maybe,
from like
but-
a personal perspective, like after reading this, like, so Amanda and I went birding yesterday, and like we're starting to see red-winged blackbirds again, and it's been however long, 6 months since we've seen a red-winged blackbird, And it did feel like a different part of my brain was being like turned back on. Like we look at a tree full of them and there was a grackle sitting up there with them. And we were like, that has a longer tail. I don't think that's a red-winged blackbird. And then we're hearing them call. And it's just like kind of this rush of information felt like it was kind of flooding back into my brain, for lack of a better way to explain it. But it's like I haven't had these thoughts or had these sensations or tried to put these like puzzle pieces together in a long time. And it's interesting when it comes back in and it's like, oh yeah, this looks like that. This sounds like that. So like I can, personally reading this can definitely attest to it.
There are data on doing puzzles helping your brain, right? So this is a brain aging thing to do word puzzles and things like that. So does that touch the same parts of the brain? I don't know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It could, right? So anything that causes you to integrate across years, across geography, across whatever is probably going to be really good for aging, repelling the aging of your brain a little bit.
I mean, you guys just got back from Colorado, and now when you go to Colorado, you're looking at a completely different set of birds for the most part.
Right.
Right.
And so,
yeah. And remembering what they sound like and what they look like and, where to look for things. It totally is like I don't know. You can forget about it for a year and then come back to it. And it is like waking up a part of your brain, it feels like.
Yeah. And I also felt yesterday when we were trying to identify things like I was thinking, oh, we're so much better than we were last year. Like,
right. Yeah.
That's a wonderful feeling. We were asking a lot smarter questions of each other.
I still thought maybe we saw Brewer's blackbird.
Oh my gosh. Give it up, RJ. That's like a joke between us. Like he thinks tell him how many you've seen.
0.
But he thinks every blackbird he sees is that bird.
One of these days.
But see, now you know enough to know that you're full of crap, right?
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
So...
Yeah. Now it's become a joke instead of
a joke,
instead of I think it actually is.
Realistic,
Instead of, I'm making a really big mistake on my eBird list, and they're going to make me have details for this, and and then they're going to tell me, no, you didn't actually see that, and then you'll be
in my defense,
embarrassed,
I've never eBirded a Brewer's blackbird. I've just argued to Amanda why I think it could have possibly been one.
I get the feeling there's some more research that can be done here.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yesterday is the first day I heard a red-winged blackbird with my new ear, and I could tell where it was.
That's so exciting.
Oh,
so
that's awesome, Shannon.
I couldn't have pegged the sound coming into this year as a red-winged blackbird sound yet. But I've just started playing. Well, I've been playing music. Music sounds like crap through this thing, but that's a knowable and known thing. And you have to retrain your brain how to hear music, and that's harder than speech. But I just started playing bird sounds to it too, and that is going worse than music. So
okay.
Oh no.
We'll see. I was never very good at bird songs, and I don't think that's going to change.
But so you heard the red-winged blackbird outside just in your normal course of business. That's exciting. I feel like that's exciting. The huge thing,
Yeah, I turned the right way. And last week I gave a tour to a really good friend's teachers. It was a teacher, one of the Teacher Institute days, and they came to the museum. And I couldn't figure out why he was doing this, but he kind of stood beside me on my right side, and everybody else was on the other side, because I try to arrange myself so that people are on the ear that I can hear better with. And he stood beside me and on the other side, and I didn't realize what he was doing, but he was shuffling his feet. And what he said is that for the first time since you lost hearing, you turned towards my feet.
Oh.
Like I was making noises and you turned because you could clearly hear the noise on that side of your head. And I didn't even notice I was doing that. And I didn't know why he was kind of I didn't know why he was on that side of me. But anyways,
that's great.
So maybe I will be able to find John in the house someday.
No more sneaking up on her, John.
Shannon, when's your David Byrne concert?
May 2nd.
May?
Oh, cool.
Well, I don't know if it's the 2nd, but somewhere at the beginning of May.
How does it, like, are you listening to Talking Heads songs to
I
retrain your
am.
hearing? Like, is
I
it
am.
specific to, oh, that's cool.
That's really cool.
That's got to be fun
So-
to go back through like a catalog like that. And
It, it is, but then it isn't. Because of the way the role that music has played in my life. And that was broken when I lost my hearing in that ear because music didn't sound the same way. And so for me, the music is associated with people and places and activities. And when it doesn't sound right, it kind of breaks all of those threads in a way that I did not want to listen to any music that I knew before getting this thing. But now I want to see if I can train it, and that music, it becomes science to me now. Now I want to see if I can get better at it. So it's not just a painful thing. And a lot of people play songs they're familiar with because then you can recreate the sounds better, and it makes the implant hear things better. So looking at the lyrics, for example, really starts to make the music sound like what your brain remembers it to be like, which is why I want to know what parts of my brain are being touched when these things are happening. So when I hear John's voice or someone's voice, your guys' voices sound pretty normal to me in this bad ear, but a stranger's voice doesn't. And so what is happening inside of my brain, and what is connecting differently from what is connecting when I hear a stranger's voice? Like my mom's voice in my implant sounds like my mom. So because I can take calls just with the implant, which means my good ear is not paying any attention, doesn't know what's happening. So my mom sounds like my mom. John sounds like John. But the spam caller person, they sound like Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse or
wow.
some Darth Vader or some version in between those things. But people's voices. So if I listen to music, I can't often tell what song it is at first. But if I put the lyrics on, so I'm testing myself, right? I'll put the playlist on shuffle and try to see if I can figure out what it is. Some songs are easier than others, probably because of rhythmic aspects of it that are very particular and known, just like something you would easily get about music, so that works. But sometimes I can't get it, and then I'll look at the lyrics and I'm like, oh, that's that song? You got to be kidding me. But if I look at the lyrics, I can start to put the song together with things I remember. So this is one of the training things that they want you to do. And then there's, certain kinds of music are easier for people to kind of start to normalize. But I'm not interested in going to listen to classical music and stuff. No offense, but I don't. I want to train my brain on songs that matter to me. So
once you've kind of retrained and like listened to it, do you recognize it again after that?
Yeah.
So if you
That's
okay,
right.
so you could kind of go song by song, and once you've kind of relearned it and
it comes much back. It comes back much faster, and so do the lyrics.
Wow.
So it's the first time I hear it, I can't understand any lyrics, and if the beat or some aspect of the sound is not extremely distinctive, I'm not sure what the song is. And then I look, I'm like, wow, really? Is that song? But I start looking at the lyrics, and then it starts to be normalized. I mean, that's what's happening to you when you go hear a bird that you haven't heard for a year, right? So you're getting a little clue to what it is, and then your brain is putting your experience back into the picture. So are you touching the same parts of your brain that I am when I'm relearning how to hear music? I don't know.
Yeah,
but I'd like to.
Yeah.
So can you age your brain in reverse with music?
I want to put a plug in for our audience that if you're a neurobiologist out there and you happen to have access to this journal, we can put the citation up because we'd love to get a copy of the article.
Or if you know things about this kind of stuff, we'd love to have someone on who could talk about the brain aspects of song learning, how it differs from music learning or speech learning, I think it would be completely fascinating. I mean, we know so little about the brain. It's so, this is why almost all of the high school interns I've had who are really interested in biology, they all say they want to be a neurobiologist. That's what the most common thing that 16-year-olds will tell you. And because the brain is so mysterious, so and I don't blame them. The coolest class I took as an undergrad,
and we know
after the natural history of vertebrates in British Columbia, was a neurobiology class. It was completely fascinating.
And we know chickadees do interesting things with their brains in terms of regenerating neurons and things. And there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys need to?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we gotta split. I mean, nobody's come and knocked on the door yet, but we're technically over on our thing.